That's the crew. And I'm the one with the parachute on and the white jacket. I just got off another plane. They needed a gunner on the plane, so I went there. So I just, as I got off the plane, I still had my parachute on. Come on, Bill, get in. So these are all my crew. Pearl Harbor we knew about it, but that we saw it on the radio. I mean, we heard it on the radio. We went to the movies, and they called that Pathé News, where they would tell you what happened this week, last week, and we had a war, and immediately we got it on the radio, and then we heard the president on the radio say, "Hey, this is war," and we declared war, and that was it. Before the war, I was a high school kid. I was only 17 years old. I lived in the Bronx, New York. Most of my friends that I played ball with, they were a little older than me. A lot of them were in the Army. So I went down to Grand Central Plaza in New York, and I enlisted. That was when I was 17. I came home and I said to my mother, "Mom, I enlisted in the Air Force." She said to me, "Are you nuts?" She says, "If you wanted to get killed, I could kill you." That's how she put it. I said, "No." And anyway, I had to wait until I was called, and I was called when I was 18. And that's how I got into the Air Force. I would get seasick on a ship. I didn't want to be in a trench, and I didn't even know if I would be able to fly, but fortunately for me, I was good. Flying, I had no problems. And I wound up being a sergeant. Basic training was at Tyndall Field in Biloxi, Mississippi. They trained us to be sort of how to hold a gun, how to crawl underneath wires. They shot bullets over your head. I don't think if they were live bullets or not, but things blew up around you. We did that type of work. In fact, one time we had a 15-mile walk with full packs, and we were going to have a bivouac. You know what bivouac is. That's where we would be able to spend the night. We could put up a tent and stay there, but we went to a special bivouac area, and that's where they had a bed, they had toilets or whatever, but we were going to do all that work, all that training there. From there, they sent me to Fort Myers, Florida. I spent about 2 weeks in Fort Myers, Florida, doing absolutely nothing. And then they sent me from Fort Myers, Florida to Tyndall Field in the Panhandle, where they taught me how to, I wanted to be a pilot, but they weren't accepting pilots anymore because they had enough pilots. So you were either a gunner, navigator, or a bombardier. You could be. But if you didn't have a college education, like I didn't, they made me a gunner. I learned how to fire a caliber 50 machine gun, how to take it apart, put it back together, blindfolded with gloves on, so that if I had to, I could take it apart, fix it, and still be able to use it. From there, they sent me to Apalachicola, Florida, where I took my first flight in a B-24. And all I did there was fire the caliber 50 machine guns into the water, into targets. And then we had these women, well, actually they were girls, flying these planes, towing these tow targets, and we would be firing the guns at the tow targets. That was their job, and that's what we did. Anyway, they sent me up to Massachusetts, and we went up there by train, My pilot, who I never knew at the time, came out and he had a sheet and he called out, "I'm looking for my navigator. Hey, Gomez." Gomez was the navigator. He got up. He came over. Bombardier, Adams. Adams? Yeah, Adams, come up. Once he had all of 10 of us together, he said to them, "I am your pilot." We did something that nobody else did. We were flying our B-24s at night over the water, flying from Savannah to Cuba and back. And I said, "I don't understand. Why are we're bomber? We're going to be dropping bombs. What are we doing flying over the ocean?" Nobody could answer. That was a secret thing. But somebody did say, "You're going to be learning how to fly over the ocean to look for submarines." We flew from there from Chatham Field. We went to New York to the Navy station, Fort Bennett Navy station, and that's where they gave us a brand new B-24. And we flew that one to Goose Bay, Labrador. And my job was getting up on the plane and filling it up with gas in the cold. We still didn't know where we were going, but eventually we knew after we got in that we're going to Europe. Where in Europe? We didn't know. Instead of going into England, we had to land in Ireland in a little town called Nuts Corners in Ireland, where that was a British Air Force base, RAF Air Force base. There were 10 parachutes in the plane. Evidently, they were going to give that plane to a bombing group, and when the bombing group got in, they would have 10 parachutes to go. The British had these blankets that we slept in that were those hairy blankets, no sheets, no nothing. I got a hold of one of the parachutes and I cut it up, and we all slept under silk. And we spent a couple of days there, and then they put us on a train and they sent us to Harrington. They take us in. I see a lot of black painted B-24s, and not brand new ones like we brought over. Ours didn't have a nose turret. It had a basket nose, so that the reason for that is that with a turret, you can't see the ground that well, but a bombardier could see everything with a like a glass there. That's what the D model was. And I look at what the heck is going on here? There's black B-24s. Nobody said a word. Finally, they take us in for a briefing. "Gentlemen, you're going to be flying at night, only during the moon nights. You're going to be carrying packages, stuff, contain a lot of stuff you're going to be carrying to the resistance in England, in Europe. You will be carrying agents, okay? And you guys don't have to do this, and you'll be flying at night about 400 to 500 feet above the ground. That's above the deck, and dropping your stuff, and that's what you're going to do. Now, if you don't want to do this, you can stay right now. You can tell us you don't want to do it. We'll send you back to a bombing group. But if you go out of here and you mention anything to what you just heard, you will be brought back and shot." True. So the crew got together and said, what do you think? My pilot's name was Jerry. What do you think, Jerry? What do we ought to do? I think we ought to take this job. So, okay, so we did. And that we became carpetbaggers. We didn't know what we were dropping. We didn't know who we were dropping to. We didn't know that we were dropping in France to the Maquis. We didn't know we were dropping in Norway. We didn't know we were dropping, but only at night when the moon showed, because we didn't. Everything was radio silence, and I'm gray now. Right, after my first mission, I was so scared. That's how we became carpetbaggers. Never knew that we were carpetbaggers. Never knew until the war was over. We found out that we were carpetbaggers. We found out that we were flying for the OSS. The OSS is the Office of Strategic Services, who today is the CIA. We were flying for a guy named Bill Donovan. They called him Wild Bill Donovan. And so, and I believe that we were named carpetbaggers by General Eisenhower, because that was our code. That was a code name, but we didn't know that it was a code. It was all in code. So we dropped ladies too. We dropped women and we dropped men. What did they do? I guess the women went in there to fraternize with the Germans to get information. The men that we dropped, they were blowing up bridges. Carpetbaggers dropped leaflets during the, I guess our outfit did drop leaflets. I wasn't involved with them at all, but we did drop leaflets to the French and to the Germans, telling the Germans, you better give up now. You will take good care of you. We won't hurt you. So a lot of them did surrender. And the French, we told them, we're coming, so you better hide. Find a place where you can hide or, get out of the way. This one mission, I saw a UFO at night. I didn't know that it was a UFO, but we were flying over the North Sea at night. We passed over a German convoy flying to Norway. We got shot up by some German planes, but we finally did get into Norway. There was a ball of fire, big ball of fire. As I flew, the ball of fire just went with us. It didn't attach to the plane. We thought that it was some kind of a German trick to get our eyes off of the planes coming in from the other side. But it wasn't, because I found out 50 years later that the Germans saw the same ball of fire, and we called it Foo Fighters. You know what the Foo Fighters are? They're the musical group. That was one mission. That was a bad one. One mission, we flew into Denmark, flying low. I'm sitting at the top of the plane right now, but I can see down low, and there's tracer bullets coming up at us from the ground. We were only flying about 400 feet above the ground, so the tracer bullets could reach us. I said to the pilot, drop your wings. Drop the wing. I pointed my guns. I had two guns right up here. Pointed my boat guns down. Every fourth bullet that comes out of a machine gun wasn't a bullet. It was like a piece of fire. So you could see where your bullets were going. That's what they call a tracer. I saw those bullets coming up at us, and I just pulled mine down and I fired back down. I gave it about 3 or 4 blasts. He stopped firing. Whether I killed him, whether he got scared or whatever, I don't know. But I took that as a kill. That was that mission. I had bullet holes in my plane. The war was over in England. We took our plane, our 10 men, and we took 10 ground crew with us, and we flew back to the States. They were lucky; they didn't have to go on one of those boats, the ships, to spend a couple of days on the ocean. We got them home. When we landed in Massachusetts, they split us up. I got into a train and I went straight home. And I had a 30-day recuperation. And my 30-day recuperation, during that time, the war was over in Japan. I was stationed to go after my 30 days. I was stationed to go to Sioux Falls, South Dakota, to get into B-29s. The B-29 was the plane that dropped the atomic bomb. I went back to Sioux Falls, where I was supposed to go. They transferred me from there to Pyote, Texas, where I helped what they called pickle B-29s. What they did is we took the planes and we pulled them out in the desert. We put oil in their lines. We covered up the ducts so the birds wouldn't go in there, and put them out in the desert, and that's where they remained. I couldn't tell my family anything of what I did during World War II. I couldn't tell them that we were. If they asked me, Grandpa, what did you do during the war? I said, I used to fly. I couldn't tell them that I did what I did, because we were sworn to secrecy. And my family, my wife, nobody knew, because I put my hand up and I said, I swear. And then I went to a reunion in 1987. I'll show you how it changed my life. Went to a reunion in 1987 after we were declassified. And then that's when we found out we were 801st 492nd Bomb Group. We were carpetbaggers. I did a reunion every year up until last year. Most of our guys passed away already, but we just voted in a young woman and a young fella whose parents were carpetbaggers. The young fella now became president, and the young woman became vice president. My whole life has been the carpetbaggers. My kids know that. I take my wife. I took every place. They all went to reunions. I took them all over the world. And what I did, I was reunion director, treasurer, editor, and he used to say, if they tie a broom to my back, I can sweep the floor at the same time. I have a great grandson that just joined the Navy, and he just finished his training at the Great Lakes Training Center. They're moving him somewhere. He's going to be doing some kind of nuclear work. And what did I tell him? I said like this: you're in service. There's the right way, the wrong way, your way, and their way. Do it their way. But to tell kids now, yeah, this is your country. Keep it. You have no idea what's going on in the rest of the world. But like my mother would say to me when I didn't eat my cereal in the morning, she'd say to me, there are children in in England that don't have any cereal. You have cereal here. Keep it and do the right thing.